going on? Um, I want to talk a little bit about there's this mindset. If you look at the preppers, the people with the prepping mindset, a lot of them want to go on this kind of self quarantine, self segregation kind of mindset where they think they can basically dig a bunker and go stay in it, just with them and their closest family members, and ride out the storm. And like there's a lot of these guys who kind of promote this mindset. But I've been lucky enough to hear of this this little presentation this dude made. It was called Shit Hits the Fan School. And basically this guy was in one of the Russian states, or the sub Russian countries, and the dude like Chimera or Ukraine or something. And the dude was saying like the government fell apart, and it was basically it was anarchy, which means everyone's on their frickin' own. And this guy said, he said, the worst possible thing you can do is have this lone wolf mindset. He said the only way they were able to survive it was to actually click up and have a group mentality as opposed to a lone wolf type of a mindset. Even though, you can look into this dude named Yishi. He was an Indian guy who he was the last of his people. They all rested, died. And this is why, because they went and did these particular, a lot of them, it's like they're neoconservative without taking the name. It's an extension of neoconservatism, and it's the whole, we got to kick all the Mexicans out. We need to do eugenics on the blacks. It's the same type of a mindset, and they really, you can hear inside of their speech that they really hate people from the city, especially the hood, the ghetto. And this is not no different from the Nazis, man. This is the people who gave their loyalty to Hitler so that they could survive and live. And the Bible says this too. It says, in this time that's coming, those who seek to preserve their lives will lose it. But those that will lose their lives for the others' sakes, laying down their life for their friends, there is no greater honor than that. Instead of this kind of, when shit hits the fan, you're on your own, we're enemies. And then after it's over, we can reestablish diplomatic ties. But no, I don't think, see, that sometimes I feel this is a ploy that it's the last great white hope, is that they can cause a freaking disaster, a global disaster, cataclysm, that in hopes of the minority groups from our hopeless dependence on this matrix system. And we've been set up for failure. That's another thing. They act like it's our own fault a lot of the times. They like to blame the victim. And the victimizer, he might still catch some hate from these people, but at the same time, they like to project that hate that they feel towards the system on us. People like myself, people like the people in this hood here, or down the road a little bit, especially them. They don't want to let go of their animosity, their ethnic animosity. And that's another sign of these end times too, is that there'll be ethnos against ethnos, ethnic group against ethnic groups, and nations against nations. And we see all these things really happening right now. It's actually being fomented and facilitated. That's why I come back to this point every now and then. I don't cling to it constantly, because it to even talk about it a lot of times, it does so much damage. It's almost like committing surgery on the real cancer, but in order to get to the cancer, you got to cut through the good stuff. And we all have these kind of cancerous, carcinogenic, pathogenic ideologies that have been put in our mind. Just like the other day I was talking about country mouse, city mouse, and how from each side they have valid arguments of why you segregate. You know what I'm saying? And why you stick to your own, and why you love your neighbor, but your far neighbor, he's on his frickin' own, and if he comes over here, we're gonna take whatever he's got on him, and well, no one's gonna know. We'll bury him out in the desert. You know, in other words, same the Cain and Abel mindset comes to. I mean, see, at least when it was come to Cain and Abel, Cain didn't kill Abel as a fear of losing losing what he had. He just had animosity, and sometimes people will blame maybe something that's kind of true, but they'll use that as a pretext to do a preemptive strike in self-preservation, when in all actuality, when Cain killed Abel, his gift turned into a curse, and everywhere he went, the plants altered and became, instead of being fruit-bearing plants, they started just to become like weeds and unprofitable things. Same thing with these people who think that, you know, there's like in a way, it's like they want to outrun the judgment of God. You know what I'm saying? And it's through faith in Him alone and obeying Him you're gonna survive this thing. And it's not. I mean, I'm not saying don't prep. I do my own little types of preps. Mostly I prep up here and in here. But it's kind of like faith without works is dead, right? So I could prep all day in here and here, but if I don't do nothing out here or apply what I'm holding on to in here and have it have an effect on these things out here, then what good is it? Same thing with it's like you want to do a time capsule or Noah's Ark of the same old indoctrinated ideology. You really want to make a lifeboat to carry your indoctrinations from here on the other side of this judgment thing that's coming upon us. When in all actuality, this thing should be making us humble ourselves and making us come together. It's like our walls should actually be disintegrating and coming down instead of us throwing them up. And I mean, that's when people feel in danger, there's two things they do: fight and flight. And then there's another one, they play dead. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes playing dead could work, but if it doesn't work, then what? You know what I'm saying? It's like you have to fight because you can't run, because you sat there and you allowed the enemy to, keep up around you, so there's nowhere really you can go.